On the beautiful Albanian Riviera, between the historical beach towns of Himare and Borch, lies Porto Palermo and the castle built by Ali Pasha, an ambitious leader whose head would eventually end up on a silver platter. The Bay of Porto Palermo, also known as Panorama Bay, was one of the main harbors of the ancient world. It has been inhabited and used as a strategic position since at least the 5th century. There is a semi-active military base in the bay, with a naval tunnel burrowed into the mountain that used to be used for Soviet submarines during the Cold War. You used to be able to visit the tunnel, but it has since been closed as the Albanian military is utilizing some of the infrastructure. The Porto Palermo castle sits on an island that was artificially turned into a peninsula during the modern era. The castle was built under an Ottoman official of Albanian descent known as Ali Pasha or Ali Pasha of Ionia. Formerly a bandit, this controversial figure garnered acclaim and criticism from both his contemporaries and historians. He was known for being an effective administrator who was forward-looking. He used the knowledge he gained in his criminal youth to reduce crime, making the region safer and more lucrative. His tolerance and respect of other religions contributed to the stability of the governed. However, he would enforce the law ruthlessly, even committing atrocities. He was also not known for being impartial, gaining him many enemies. His influence and wealth grew to a point where he began to conspire with foreign powers to secede from the Ottoman Empire and form an independent state, not unlike the Albanian national hero Skanderbeg a few hundred years before. Unfortunately, despite all of Ali's talents, in the end his disposition didn't win him the loyalty of all the men necessary to overcome the Ottomans, and much of his army dissolved before even facing Ottoman troops. Even 2 of his sons abandoned him. After 2 years of fighting, he found himself cornered in a fortress with one of his wives and a handful of soldiers. He was eventually convinced to surrender. Long story short, his head ended up on a literal silver platter and displayed to the region's nobles to confirm his death. Apparently, the local archbishop was having a party when the head was plopped on his dinner table alongside demands for cash. Eventually, the head was shipped and displayed on a rotating platter in the Sultan's courtyard. Once the Sultan had his 3 sons and grandson killed, they were all buried together outside the walls of Constantinople. Grim. There were fortifications here since time immemorial, but Ali Pasha completed the current structure in 1804 with help from French military engineers. Legend has it that he murdered the engineers once he was done with them. The imposing triangular design with pentagonal corners has limestone walls 3.5 meters or 11.5 feet thick. From the island, the castle provided formidable protection for the entire bay. The castle changed hands several times during its life and was last used as a fortification in World War II. Unfortunately, this isn't the end of its story, as during the communist regime, the castle served as a prison for anti-communists from 1944 to 1990. Reportedly, the inmates were held in truly squalid and horrific conditions. The castle is a painful reminder to some of Albania's darker past. Despite the castle's sordid past, it is a very pleasant place to visit today. There are restaurants on the bay nearby that serve locally raised fish, and the local beaches are inviting, as are the crystal clear azure waters of the Ionian Sea. If you made it this far, thank you for watching, and please consider subscribing, liking, and commenting. It does a lot to encourage me to make more. Thanks again.